Hey everyone, just a quick video here for diagnosing a few problems I've had with my Honda Prelude. There's a 2001 VTIR manual swapped, and I've just had a few electrical things with the alternator not charging and the power windows not working. So I'm basically just going to run through and show you all the tests I've done and everything working up to figuring out how to solve it. So I just want to put this video out there. Hopefully it helps some people, and just a few things to look out for in terms of testing and how to go about a few things. Quick disclaimer, I am not an auto electrician. These are just a few things, a few skills I picked up along the way, and hopefully it helps. So the only tools you need is a voltmeter set to DC current to read 12 volts, and then just a bit of automotive wire with a fuse. This is just a 7.5 amp fuse, just so that if you go to hardwire anything for testing, you're not going to blow anything up. So it's a safe way to do so. You can only run a certain amount of power through these leads, being small, so it just keeps everything safe. A quick note before doing any of these tests, just make sure that all of your fuses are good inside of the fuse box in the engine bay, as well as the ones in the driver's side kick panel, and that all of your aftermarket systems, like my subwoofer here, are disconnected. So I have a brand new alternator here, and even with it being brand new, I still couldn't get it to output the voltage needed to charge the battery. So on the B positive here cable, that is the output for charging, and it's not receiving enough to give the battery anything. So the car is running on battery power only. The power windows don't work, the Speedo doesn't work, the brake lights now don't work, and the car doesn't start. So coming inside the cabin here, first test you can do is with the battery connected. You just want to make sure that you get your lamp signal. So the lamp signal, it throws up a battery light, and that indicates that the alternator is receiving a signal to tell it to switch on. And so for me, if you go ignition on, there's no battery light. The battery light should sit right by the oil. And so I'm already not signaling that light, so I know that the lamp isn't working. So let's just keep the key on and test for the alternator. So on the alternator side, you have a 4-pin plug, and that goes into this wiring harness here, which I've already taken the plastic covering off of. And so what you do is you want to unplug it, and on the connector on the back side, you check that you have a blue and white. That is your lamp. So you just locate which pin that is. In my case it's this one, and you just want to probe that positive and then negative to ground. So we're grounding there, and the positives inside the connector, and we are reading 4.9 volts, so nowhere near 12. So we know that we're only getting not even half the current, which is not good. And we already confirmed that, because out of the B positive there is nothing, no relationship there. So our next test is to check the IG1. So you could diagnose that as a bad connection between the plug through the loom, but before you do that, I highly recommend checking the IG1 feed, because the IG1 handles the windows, it also handles the alternator, handles the battery and the lamp. All of that is IG1 feed. Inside the car, I just want to show that my windows do not work. And this is not the case of a bad switch, because I have replaced the switch. The switch is not at fault. You can bench test these switches, or you can test the motors. So here we are looking at the fuse panel. The power window relay is this one right here, and it's signaled PW for power window. So what you want to do is you want to disconnect your battery with your key off. So you pull this one out. Now we want to focus on this. So with the battery now reconnected and the key ignition on, key ignition turned on, we're going to probe the bottom right and the top right for positive. And you can ground off of this bolt here, right by your hood pop. There's already a ground going there, so we know that that's a good ground. Once you've checked those, they should run at 12 volts. Now, the reason I recommend checking these if you do not have windows, because on the board itself, the two 20 amp fuses are for your power windows. Let me show you. As you can see on the diagram, the two 20 amp fuses are power window driver and power window assist. So we know that those two should also get a reading of 12.5 volts. So you probe the tops and you ground as usual, and you can do this while hitting the switches to confirm that 12.5 volts should be flowing through that system. For me, I get nothing out of these. They read 12.5 volts and my power windows don't read anything. They come out empty. So going back to here, you want to make sure that you're getting 12.5 volts to your relay. Now for me, what was happening is I was getting 12.5 volts out of one and not 12.5 volts out the other. Keep in mind that the other two are not supposed to have any voltage. So what that tells me is that I'm getting half the signal out of one side, or nothing at all, and all of it out of one. So something's not working here. It's only getting half out of the relay and it's giving nothing to my fuses. After that, because we are wanting to check the IG1 feed, with the key on, ignition on, IG1 feed off of the barrel is with the thick yellow and black cable. That's your ignition. Now, something to note is when I did my test, I had 12.5 volts go through there and it was good. So I know from my ignition barrel into the box, I get 12.5 volts and it's good. So it's going into the panel, but it's not coming out of the panel. I'm only receiving half, and that's why I'm receiving half from the alternator side as well, because the IG1 feed isn't coming through from the box. Once you've done your test and you take a look at this one, you have ignition and you also have power window. Now it's best to check both of those for 12.5 volts. So all you want to do is probe those, and if you're getting 12.5 volts good out of those from here but not from the kick panel fuse, then you know that your kick panel fuse is broken, because you're getting coverage up here but not out of there. Another test I ran is I used the wire with the fuse on it and I hardwired my lamp. So you just want to go 12 volts off the battery and you want to tap it into the, so I probed here, that is blue and white, and you got to be very careful, and I do not advise probing, because if you make a break in the copper, you'll end up busting your whole wire, you'll have to get it replaced, no good. So be very, very careful when doing so. Not a recommendation, but I want to let you know what I've done. So I've hardwired that straight over to here with a fuse, and my lamp signal on my dash flicked on. It was great, but it wasn't making the alternator wake up. And the reason for that is because the fuse box in the kick panel is still not engaging all of the other IG1 feeds to make it work. So the lamp would go, but the ignition was still damaged. It was still only outputting that 5 volts. And so with the B positive side, it wasn't giving it enough. The other hardwire test I advise is if you are having the same troubles as me with your power windows, a really simple test you can do is to grab your wire. These wires are connected as positive and negative with your fuse, and you actually want to probe both right hand side top and bottom of those two right there. And what that'll do is it'll send the 12 volt signal that's working out of one and put it into the other, making it a working unit. And then just check that your windows are working. In my case, my windows started working, so I know that the motors are good, I know that the switch is good, and that's how I figured that one out. And I know that the relay is good because I tested it for ohms. So it wasn't the fact that my relay was busted, it was the fact that the actual panel on here, the board, wasn't getting the signal. And so for my car, going over everything I know that my windows aren't working because I'm not getting anything out of here, and I'm only getting half out of the relay. My alternator's not charging because my IG1 feed is coming into here and it's not outputting enough current. As we saw, it's only outputting 5 volts. My brake lights, and now my car is not even starting, and it's only a matter of sitting for another day and it's no longer working. It'll crank good, it's got like good battery power to the crank, but it's not firing. Now I know it's not going to be the main relay, although that it does cover fuel, but I also know that the box is the reason for that. It's not giving any of those IG1 signals, it's not giving the signal to the main relay to tell it, hey, the fuel needs to work with the ECU, etc, etc, etc. What I'm going to do now is, this is a good box, and my one's still in there, not so good, as I've tested. I've already taken out all of my aftermarket alarm system. That's why the wire there looks a little bit messy. So I've just disconnected everything that's aftermarket, and so now we're just working with OEM stuff. So this is off a donor vehicle, and I'm going to be putting this into the car now and seeing if everything works and if I'm correct about my diagnostics. As always, when working on electrical, you want to disconnect the negative on your battery. And now you can start. This is the panel connected inside the car. This is the old one. And so I'm just going to make a start. I'm going to first off just start by disconnecting all of our main plugs. And then as I work my way from top to bottom, there will be this one here on the side, green connector, and that one on the bottom. And if you look closely, I'll try to zoom in there, that is the 10mm bolt. Keep in mind the battery is disconnected, so do not do this if your battery is connected. You do not want to wreck the car any more than you probably already have. To remove the airbag, you want to slide this plastic bit up and then it pulls out, or you could just pull it directly like I did then from the bottom, but that just slides. So that's how you do that. All the other clips are very standard. The connectors, they're just a little pinch at the top. Make sure you pull on the connector. Do not be pulling on the wire. That is a no-no. Here's our first 10mm. So let's grab the extension and take that one off. Okay, so after the front ones come off like this, and you've undone the bottom plug and the bolt, the last bolt for the 10mm is up and to the right hand side. So on our panel, bottom bolt, up, right hand side. There's one in that hole there. So you want to access that 10mm and that 10mm and you're good to go. So you can just push these connectors to the side and up and then access it like right there. There's a thicker one here that you just push it up a little. It's not going to break anything, it's got a conduit, and your bolt's right there. Just to show, my ratchet is on there now. A little bit blurry, my apologies. And you just want a few clicks, you know, slow process, but you'll get there. I just got that top one out there and pushed the wire up and over the little bracket because it was just sitting on the little top bit here. And so now I can like open it out by the looks of it. I'm gonna access this wire here and then swing around, and now I've got access to those ones. So that's good, and the whole parts just slide out. Just got it out, so that's what we're left with. Looks a bit scary, but there's only one slot for each of these, so there's no way to mess it up. And that's the new one. We just got to put the little bracket on top to hold these two here, and that finishes it. So that is everything now in there, seated properly. All the connectors back there are good to go. So now all we have left to do is hook up the battery and give it a go. It's all good. Yep, lamp's good. Start it up. So let's take our voltage meter. Check it out. Let's test the windows. How beautiful. What's that read? 15. 15? More than 12? Yeah. That's how you do it. Alright, working again. Woo! Well, that fixed it. So that was pretty good. Happy to finally have my car back and running. Big ups to the guy that had a parted Prelude, so I could just yank that one out. And yeah, everything's good now. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just feel free to leave a comment down below. Any video suggestions you may want or anything to do with this car, just write it on in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.